Welcome, welcome. Jamie Hernandez here. We are in Soul Healing for the Empathic Entrepreneur. And I'm wearing my Hawaii shirt because we recently had the privilege of going to Hawaii, me and my family. And it brought up the subject for me of like what every dollar, what money really means to me, and what does it really mean to us, right? Us healers, us coaches, us creating transformation in the world. And when I looked at our pictures, this part of me said, well, that's what it means. It means creating the experience of my life, and creating it from this place where what is it that I want? What is it I love? What is it that keeps, like, allows me to feel alive? And I know we all understand this, and we all know this. But what I notice, with our clients, or those who are creating transformation in the world, there's the practicality of like, okay, we have this gift and we share it, and it's very natural to us. And then sometimes we have to get into the practicality of charging money for it and earning money for it. And sometimes when we kind of move towards a venture or a client or a program that we're creating, we can have some kind of stuckiness, right? And I know we've all had this. So let me know in the comments if you want to be doing something in this world, and for some reason you feel stuck. I was just with a client yesterday, and it's like they know exactly what they want to do, and yet in their physical body they feel stuck. So let me know in the comments, when you think of money, what does your body feel? And what kind of like line, or what kind of track does it go on? And it's a very subtle thing, because I really truly believe that all of us have a certain relationship with money. And because we're humans, we all have our negative biases. So we will have some kind of relationship, and especially if we're creating from something that is so deep and personal, because coaching is a thing. When we create it, it is so close to our soul that it almost becomes it can become exciting, but it also becomes scary to actually like, oh, this thing that is so true to me, that is so true to my heart, I'm going to charge money for it. And so when we understand the line of experience that we have, when we just first feel into what our relationship with money is, we want to start to feel like, okay, what are the, because there's positive and negative, what are the sort of the stucky feelings in my body that I feel? What is the story that happens in my mind? And what is the project, or what is the thing I'm going for, that when I continue to move towards it, I kind of feel stuck because it's so big in my vision. And there's always different layers. And here's the thing, it's like, as coaches, as healers, we're always going to break through that layer, right? We're always going to get to the next level and create our new thing, and go through that wave. But funny enough, every time we kind of move from, it's a cycle. Every time we kind of move towards a new thing, and something that we know deep in our heart that we want to manifest, there is going to be that old, deep-rooted wound that will emerge. And it is the opportunity for us to really feel and see what it is, because we all have unconscious, subconscious beliefs about money, because it's receiving something for what you're giving to the world. And we all understand what we are giving to the world on an intellectual level is valuable, it is precious, it is magical. And we all have our own old beliefs based on whatever we had an experience, because that's kind of that's a human journey. The human journey is we come onto this earth and we experience life, and we experience what we understand as trauma, and that experience is actually, in my kind of what I feel, is what the soul is looking for. It's looking for the human experience of experiencing the emotion, the deep feeling, the grief, the pain that we feel here on earth. It's just what happens, right? And so those experiences, two things happen. The first thing that, many things happen, but the first thing is that's kind of our first layer, because as human beings, our first mode of apparatus is to survive. So if by receiving love, receiving shelter, we were given the message of we're not enough, we're not worthy, we're not capable, we're not perfect, we don't belong, the things we have to say are not significant. All human beings will have one of those kind of curriculums, one of those wounds that they experience life through. And they don't, at first, as a child, we don't know that's how we're experiencing it. And then as we grow, we either continue to see through those wounds and those lenses, or we start to see our own patterns of receiving what we want and receiving it through that lens. So, so many of our clients, they will move towards what they want, and they know exactly what they want, but then they just can't do it. I was literally talking to somebody yesterday, and they know exactly what they want to do, and then every time, the process is really simple. Okay, they have to do some research. They have to update their CV. They have to talk to this person. It's really the actual to do is actually pretty simple, but doing it, here's the thing, going to do it, something is blocking, something that is always stopping. And then her mind goes into the spiral of all the things, of the reasons why her current situation is more safe. Because as human beings, we are meant to first seek safety and survival. And so then if we understand that about ourselves, and we understand the experience of what money really means to us, which is this thing that we have in this, the way it works here, and we receive it, by earning it, and then we give it to receive something else, right? And so if our base relationship with giving and receiving has been imprinted, and will be and has been imprinted with one of those 6, what I call kind of ego identity structures, these wounds that stem from all human beings have, we are going to unconsciously self-sabotage ourselves whenever we move towards what we want. And here's the good news: whenever we move towards what we want, and we have resistance, it's actually a sign that that's actually what we want. Because right on the other side, the first thing that's going to happen when we're moving towards what we want is, the safety mechanism is going to come up, and all of the why we shouldn't do what we shouldn't do, and how the current situation is more safe. Even if the current situation, for example, we are in a toxic relationship, we are in an abusive relationship, because that is the known. And over there, the thing that we want is something purely from sometimes our own imagination. And in transformation and healing, it really is stemming from our internal imagination that is co-created with the collective and the collective's needs. So the reason why I'm talking about what money really means is so that we can understand that first layer of survival, um, and knowing that it is the thing that sort of blocks us or keeps us stuck when we want to move towards what we want to, or we want to manifest a vision we have for what we're going to do with the experiences that we have, the tools that we have, the life experiences that we have, the training that we have, the experiences that we have with our clients, the transformation that we offer based on our experience, based on our training, based on our clients. And if we understand that, then we can understand that the first layer is going to kind of take you through everything you don't want. It's going to like kind of post all the danger signs and let you know, okay, this is what we don't want. But here's the thing, what we don't want and what we do want are actually two different things. I know that's like, okay, that's very obvious, but guess what? When we sometimes move towards what we want, we think about all the things we don't want, thinking that is going to get us towards what we want. I know it's ridiculous, but it's the pattern that we have because of the way we're built as human beings in order to survive. So then, if we understand that, then we can understand, okay, well, what do I want? And that's where we can really start to unpeel and understand, like, well, what does money really mean for me? And if you're a coach and you're a healer, it's like, it allows me, and it's not the only way. I'm not saying you could never not offer your coaching and your healing with just money, but it is the currency, it is the energy, it is the exchange that allows me to do what I do, and allows me to thrive, and allows me to give and receive my offering to the world, the reason why I'm here on this earth. And it also, not just in our own personal like work, it also means that I create experiences. So with our clients, the thing that we always look at is, what are our top 3 goals in business and in money, in health and in wellness, in spirituality, and in relationships. And if we understand that, then we understand, well, what does money really mean? Because the subconscious is, and here's the thing, when you have subconscious blocks, you don't even hear them anymore. You don't even hear the kind of like, oh, I'm so selfish. Oh, I'm not worth that. Like, you don't even know that that's running in the background. It's almost like, especially as an empath, it is a programmed into your physical body, because for me, for example, one of the deep core kind of wounds is I'm not worthy. But I didn't intellectually know that. I had to find it in my physical body, and I had to name it in my mind to actually allow it to emerge so I can see it, and at the same time start to see my worthiness and what is worth my while in this lifetime, and what is the worth that I'm offering in this lifetime. And so when we start to understand every single dollar we make, we've created an energy exchange. Every single dollar that I've made it and I've earned it through the value that I've expressed in the world. And there is a certain amount, and everyone has their number that we know. So if you take those goals that you have, then what you do on a very practical note, because here's the thing, we can dream and dream and dream, but on a very practical note, we want to put a price tag, right? So if you travel the world, you need some sort of price tag on that, right? Some sort of investment. If you want to have deeper relationships with yourself or with the world, or with, there has to be some kind of price tag. And if that can mean also time, it can mean energy investment, but it also can mean money, right? And so if we start to look deeply at all of these things, and my business, what do I really want in my business? And I think we think that we're spending more time on thinking of what we want and knowing what we want than we do. But I don't think we really take the time to actually really invest our time in knowing what we want. Because here's what will naturally happen, and it always happens with my clients. We're just in a moment of flow and conversation. So we kind of gone through all the like, oh, I'm scared of this, and then we do some somatic practice, or there's a moment of just like ease and flow, and all of a sudden they just like a nonchalant, like, oh, I want this, I want to be this, I want to do that, I want to, and it just comes out, right? And because in that millisecond, there's no threat, there is no consequence. It's just right? There's a feeling of safety. And here's what happens when we have some conscious beliefs that kind of we haven't investigated. The minute you start to permit yourself, or you allow yourself to just flow and say what you want, right after that, a million reasons why that would be hard to do, and why your current situation is actually benefiting you more. Okay, observe that in yourself, because it is kind of like the pattern. So if we understand that, and then we start to understand, okay, that those moments of flow, those moments of truth, I need to expand on that. So for example, with my client yesterday, they had just literally like 10 seconds of clarity. I said, okay, and then they started going into like, oh, but this and okay, before we go into all the things we don't want and what we're scared of it all, what can happen, blah, blah, that those two first 10 seconds of clarity, write that down. And so here's how we start to kind of like investigate and become curious and give it more space, right? In our somatic practice, the practice that I'm going to be offering this week is to take those moments of clarity and live it in your body. Give those ideas some juice. Because here's the thing, that those old subconscious beliefs live in the body, and that's why we don't necessarily even know that they're there. So if we start to really understand what money means, it means to me, and it's all personal, right? It's like, it means to me, I get to do what I get to do. It means to me, I get to offer and receive the experience and the gift that I feel like I have. It means to me walking on the beach, in Hawaii with my family and enjoying the sun. Like and here's the interesting thing. As you're saying what it means, you will feel like an unconscious grip of maybe a bit of shame, or a bit of doubt, or a bit of, I shouldn't be admitting this out loud, right? It means to me just having time. It means to me being able and having the power to create my day. It means to me enjoying delicious food. And here's the thing, the unconscious belief is much louder, even though we don't hear it, than the conscious, what we want and what things mean to us, right? Because we don't really spend that much time there investigating it. And the way I work with my clients is we investigate it in 3 levels. We investigate it through the physical body, because that's where your experience lives. That's your home. That is your safety. That is your temple. And if in your body what you want is not even being felt or experienced, it is not going to feel safe. So we want to start to allow those ideas, whatever they are, and how audacious and crazy as they are, we have to give them room and space, and we have to get clear. And I'm saying have to, but we want to, if we want to, get clear, right? Because then when we get clear and we move towards what we want, and we receive money, and we give money, and we make money, we understand the actual exchange, and it's not clouded by our old patterns or beliefs. So let me know in the comments if this is making sense to you, and let me know in the comments if there is something that you're like push pull, like I know I want that, but then it's like there's something that always stops me, or if there's a certain pattern, like in relationships, sometimes there's this unconscious pattern. You're always attracting the same toxic person. With money, there's always a pattern of maybe making it and then losing it. With your health, maybe there's a relationship of committing to something and then not really following through. Like all of those are symptoms of a deep, unconscious pattern that we all have. Here's the thing. So you'll be fooling yourself if you think you don't have one of these things in one of those categories. And here's the interesting thing: as human beings, it's like we have a particular curriculum. For some people, it's really in the relationship realm, and they have no problems with money. They're good, blah, blah, blah. And the relationships are sucky. For some people, relationships are great and they're, really great. And they have great community, but like the money area is kind of like, it's not necessarily as we desire. Or in the spiritual practice, our connectedness to life and earth and spirit and all, whatever you want to call it, to God or whatever it is not necessarily present. So all of us have sort of like a favorite curriculum that we sort of are on earth are here to work with. So let me know what yours is. So if we also understand that, then we can, not beat ourselves up. It's sort of like, how in school you have all these different topics, and some you really excel at, and like some it's not as natural, right? It's just like maybe you're really great at gym, and then when you get to like science, like not so much, or other way around. You're really great at science, but when you get to gym, and it's natural. It is natural to have the things that you excel at, and natural that you have things that are not, you're not excelling, right? And because these topics, in the analogy, I also think like, okay, sometimes we have to also stay in that place where we excel, right? And then, but in life, because we deal with those topics of relationships, of money and business, of spirituality, of health, they're sort of topics that everyone is dealing with. So everyone is going to like science. Maybe you don't need to become like this expert scientist, from school, but we do in all of those categories need to have some sort of balance. Maybe we're not the best at it, but some sort of there's something there to be learned. So let me know what it is for you. Is your kind of stuckiness in the money realm? Is it in the business realm? Is your stuckiness in the relationships? Like you're always, attracting toxic people? Is your thing about like your health, where you're trying to commit to some kind of thing and it's never kind of working out? Or is it in the spiritual, right? So what is it for you? What is it for you? And then this thing that we use, that used to be paper but now is almost just these arbitrary numbers in our bank account that we use as an energy exchange, we can begin to understand what it really means, and it starts to allow us to move towards what we want. And that is the whole reason why I brought this up, is to start to give space to what we want. What do we love? So take those categories: health, business and wealth, relationships and spirituality. Write them down on the paper, and write down what is it you really want in those realms. Because I guarantee you, one, there's things that are obvious, and there's also things that you just didn't give it enough space. Like, it is so interesting as human beings. We give so much space to what we don't want, and we give just a little bit of space to what we do want, thinking we're working so hard to get there, but really we're not giving it enough space. So it's like, imagine 10 seconds of like, oh, this is what I want, and then like, 5 hours of saying what we don't want. Our mind kind of is doing that, especially if we're kind of stuck somewhere. So the antidote is to allow ourselves really to move into and feel into what it is we want. What do we want? And so that when we receive the tool, because that's what money is, the tool to allow that to happen, we understand, we can receive it. It's kind of like, I'll give you a basic example. If I had to dig a hole, and a really big hole in my backyard, let's say because we're doing construction, I need to ask myself, well, what tool do I need, and who do I need to help me dig that hole? Am I going to do it by myself? Yeah, maybe. Or do I need it? Am I going to do it with my bare hands? Am I going to do it with a jackhammer? Am I going to do it with, a little shovel or a big shovel? Am I going to do it with 2 people or 10 people, right? And the thing is, because I know I want to dig the hole, because maybe I want to create we want to create like a entryway to the basement, right? I know I want that, right? So I'm going to receive the tools to allow that to happen. So same with our relationship to money, we can start to recognize, oh, okay, I'm receiving the tool based on my clarity, not based on my emotional relationship that I'm not worthy, or I'm selfish, or I'm just making it about money, like all that BS. And we just know, oh, that's what I want. Because here's the thing, even though what you want is not happening, you're always going to subconsciously be going for it. But sometimes you're going for it with, I know what I want, but I'm going to talk about what I don't want, and I'm going to feel that in my body on a regular basis, and I'm going to take action based on that. And you're actually like, and it feels like, oh my God, I'm working so hard to get what I want. But really, you're just working hard in the realm of what you don't want. Let me know in the comments if that makes sense. I don't see the comments in live, so I'm going to have to read them afterwards. Okay? And just watch that in yourself. Watch. And then, okay, so just pick the thing. Pick the thing that for you is the thing. Oh, it's relationships. Oh, it's money. Whatever it is. Pick that thing. And just admit to yourself out loud, like, what do I want? And not, I want more money. Okay? Because I could say, here's $1. Life is going to look, okay, cool. Right? Start to, what does that look like? Start to explore it. Start to get curious about it. Start to put a price tag, an investment on those goals I'm talking about, so that we become more realistic, and so that that number comes to us, right? So if I'm looking for 1 shovel, or if I'm looking for 5 shovels, I'm going to look for 5 shovels, not 1, right? And so if I want, like, if the price tag on this, and this is $20K a month, or whatever it is, $5K, 100, just put a price tag, so that the giving and receiving it just becomes very clear. Because if there's a not enough, for example, then you think, oh yeah, I want more money, and then it's never enough. Why? Because we didn't actually state what we want. We stated what we didn't want. Yeah? Let me know if this is making sense. So, so that's what I want to say about understanding what money really means, and giving yourself the time and space to feel it in your body, to get clear on those 4 categories that I named, and giving it some juice and giving it some clarity, right? If for example, if another thing you want is, I want to travel more. Okay, so like you travel from this bus stop to the next, like, right? That's traveling. So, but where you want to go? Is it South America? Is it Europe? Is it Asia? Is it Alaska? Right? Do you want to travel Canada? How do you want to travel? Right? Who's going to be there? Who's not going to be there? What's your mode of transportation? You know, like these details, the more we give it space, the more it happens, right? Like we can't just say I want to travel more and expect a trip to Europe to happen. So when we give it out in the clarity, then life also gives us these little hints, like, ooh, you know, and you know, we know that our phones are really great at that, where all of a sudden I'm talking about traveling, and I'm gonna for sure get some traveling something in my feed. And it's a little side note, but just so you know, everything that you're receiving in your social media is it's so interesting, is what you're giving. It's not, oh, this World Wide Web and they're like tracking you. They are tracking you, but guess what? What are they tracking? They're tracking you. So whatever you're giving to the algorithm, it's going to give it back to you. So we can't blame what we're receiving and say, oh my God, like, why is Facebook giving me this? Because you've been talking about it. And so in a way we understand, well, one, we're the one feeding the algorithm, right? We're the one feeding the artificial intelligence. Yeah. So all of this, everything I'm saying now is going to come up, right? Because it's in my sphere of and so that's kind of how it works. When we get really clear on what does it really mean, each and every dollar I make, what does it really mean? And when we allow ourselves and submerge ourselves in, like, oh God, it meant and it means, like, stepping on that sand, crystal clear water, feeling the sun on my face, smelling the fresh ocean air, just being in a new culture, eating the food, just being with my family, being in this kind of beingness with nature. Do you see how that feels? And so all of a sudden we open our physical body and our nervous system to a receptivity and a willingness to receive what it is we want. So I want you to try that. Just let yourself flow in, like, something you want. And maybe go with something you've already received so that it reminds you, oh, this is true. This is a true, like, I can actually, I've done this before, and I know, and it's clear for me. And then go into those places where you keep on talking about it, but I want that, like, oh no, I don't want to admit that. Oh, I want that. Oh no, I don't want to admit that. Right? We haven't researched it enough. We haven't explored it enough. We haven't given it enough in our body and clarity in our mind and frequency in our energy. So those are the 3 layers, if you were to work with me, that I always address. Where is it deep in the somatic body? This whole unworthiness thing, like, I had to research in the body for that to emerge and then have the clarity in my mind to understand and to see where that kind of the stuckiness that I'm feeling, the experiences that led to, you're not worthy of my respect and you're not worthy of being seen. And here's the thing, when you're a child, like, you don't even have that vocabulary, you know? So when you do deep core work, and I'm pretty sure, like, so many of you who are on the healing journey, you start to also uncover, like, your child that didn't even, your inner child that didn't even have this language. And then all of a sudden now you can put the language to, like, oh, this happened to me, a boundary was crossed, and my body translated into, you're not worthy of my respect. Like, I had to discover that through the body and give it a voice, right? Give it a voice, because when you're a child, there's no, like, you're not thinking about these things, like you don't even understand them, right? And then see the energy where it's contracted, and then we take that, and this is what you would do if you're on a discovery call with me, is we look at that. Where has been imprinted deep in the body? What has the mind interpretation, even though the mind wasn't even formed yet? What was the interpretation? I'm not worthy of your respect. And what is the frequency is one of the energy, so that we shift and change the frequency so that we become magnetic, a magnetic field for what we want to receive. And that's kind of how it works, right? I'll just give you a last example. I really saw myself going to a certain country 2 years ago, and there was just such clarity of where I wanted to go, what my experience was going to be like, what I wanted to experience, understanding there's so much yet to be discovered, and just understanding the feeling, the frequency, the experiences. Like, it was so crystal clear for me. So the whole time I was traveling there, it almost felt like a passageway, a frequency, a tunnel, a currency moving towards there. Like, for example, when I got to the what do you call it? What do they call this? Custom agents. You know how sometimes custom agents, like, they're like, oh yeah, cool, go ahead. Or someone's like, why are you here? What is your purpose? Like, my custom agent was like, welcome back, oh my gosh, come on in. Like, literally, I'm not exaggerating. And the person next to me, why are you here? What is the purpose of your stay? And it's like, and I kept on getting that kind of like, just the tunnel of that pathway, because I was so clear on where I was going. So we create that pathway. And you experience this when you're young as well. It's like you're just so clear on how you want to, what you want to do and how you want to play and all that. It just happens, and play is like that. It kind of, and innocence is like that. It's like the seed and the force of creativity. I want you to hear that. Play and innocence is a seed of creativity. Because why? Whenever we have these innocent, these thoughts that we've never thought before, like, oh my God, what if I could do this, and what if I could do that, and what if I could make this much money, and what if I had this type of relationship, and like that, and we see it with that innocence and that playfulness. That is the seed and frequency of creation. Because think about it, anything that was created and spawned from an innocent thought. Not naive, not vulnerable, not a little child that doesn't understand the world, but an innocent, pure, intuitive understanding of what's possible. Like, that to me is what innocence is. And so if we allow ourselves to come back to that innocence of like, oh, I just want this. Oh, I just wish I was like that. That is actually the beginning of your creation. And that's what I work with my clients. We go through all of the unconscious and all of the, and the thing is, it's a cycle, even though we understand, like, this thing about, like, I'm not worthy of your respect, even though I understand that, every time I'm creating something new, that will reoccur in cycles, where every time I cycle through it, it maybe gets stronger and then it dissolves. It gets stronger and it dissolves as I work through that, and then continue what I don't want, what I unconsciously believe to, like, oh, what I want, and allow myself to go in that. And then it's that cycle. And then, we manifest that. And then we accomplish that, and then we go for what we want, and what we want, and then it's like, and then it comes again, and then eventually, sometimes it just completely dissolves, or it just stays with you your whole life, and you just have a certain relationship with it that continues to shift. Let me know if that makes sense. So, if you're interested in that kind of work, I have we have a new program, and this new program is going to be a year-long program called Awakening the Soul Entrepreneur. And I'm going to put a link in the comments. Actually, Katie will put a link in the comments, so that in that we are going to we're going to move through the cycles, because that's the thing, it kind of takes time to move through the cycles of everything we don't want, all of our unconscious beliefs, all of the, to what we do want, and to actually manifest it in the world. So the very first thing we do is we get on a call, what I call a discovery call, and we start to literally look at those things, where it's been imprinted in the body, where it's been imprinted in the mind, where it's been imprinted in your energy field. And we start with a thing that is like, that is stuck, and we start to unlaunch that, and we start to dissolve that, and we start the cycle. And that's why the 12 month cycle is important, because even though we know we want to get there, it takes time, especially if a pattern has been so ingrained, like, you know, however old you are, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, it takes time to unravel that and collaborate with those unconscious beliefs, and be okay going down into the depth of your shame and your blame and your doubt and your I'm not enoughness and I'm not worthy, and work with it, and then go into the permission of like, oh, I want this, and I want this, and I want this, and in a very clear, and then taking action, and then from that action seeing, like, it's like, you know, if you were to like search for a home, you take the action of looking at all the different homes, and you don't just buy the first one. You kind of like you take action, and you start to see, oh, is this the right price? Is this the right vibe? Is this the right neighborhood? And it's the same thing when you're building your life and building your business. Those are the cycles. First, it's all about like, everything, why we can't do what we want, and all that. And then it's admitting what we want. And then practicing rituals to give ourselves space and permission to, you know, be with what we want. And then taking repetitive and consecutive and congruent actions in alignment with that. And then having a guide and support. And that's what it would be, is the support system to continue to bring you back to your truth, to continue to work with what happens when shit hits the fan, and you go back into the spiral of like, oh, what I don't want, and your body, your mind, and your energy kind of like contracting there, to working through that, and then, what I do want, and then into the, okay, so what action do I need to take? And then in the action, tweaking. Right? So that takes time, right? And so we're doing this year-long program. And so if you're ready for something like that, then just DM me and say, Jamie, I'm ready for a breakthrough yoga coaching call, because that's the first thing we need to do. And that is free. And then we can kind of discuss, you know, what is it that you want? Where do you want to go? And create that plan and talk about the program, talk about the investment. Okay? So that's it. So DM me if you're interested in shifting the trajectory of your life in a way that you feel supported, in a way that you're constantly coming back to your North Star, in a way where you're not going to make a commitment and then back out on your own commitment. Because the truth is, and we say this all the time, my teacher says this all the time, we don't heal alone. You know, this is not a solo journey. So when we're creating our life, we need to find the people who celebrate us and celebrate our imagination and our dreams and help us anchor it here on earth. Not the places where we're tolerated. Because when we are in places that we are just simply tolerated, we start to believe like that's the world. The world is simply just tolerating us, and we have these weaknesses, and people are going to treat us a certain way, and then we start to get tarnished. Instead of going to places where we are celebrated, our imagination, our innocence, our play is celebrated. And then we become more of who we are in that environment. And that's what this 12-month container is. And I understand, even for myself, I understand when I'm creating something, I need a container. I can't just do it in the vacuum of my head and solo all by myself. I need that support system, right? So that's the support system I want to offer. And then you have others in the community. And there's also going to be a somatic practice every 2 weeks. And then there's going to be deep dive coaching every 2 weeks, one-on-one coaching and a group somatic practice. So that we're always staying in the frequency. We're always processing our own emotions. We're always utilizing our mind, body, and spirit to guide us. So if you're interested in that, click on the link. It says jamiehernandez.com, book a call, and we'll get started. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this was helpful of understanding what money really means to you. And write those 4 categories and write down. That's the first thing to manifestation. Just write down, what do I want in my health? Do it now. What do I want in my health? Don't just think about it, because it's like going to the grocery store and having 10 things you want, and you're going to forget one. You're going to forget because we're not practiced. What do I want for my health? What do I want for my wealth and business? What do I want in relationships? What do I want in my spiritual growth? Write it down. Give it space and see all the crazy little patterns that start to happen. And that's your first step. To just give it space. And then if you were to work with me, then we start to take all the actions and the steps to start to manifest that reality, right? And we have this clear picture. And then if you're really, you wrote everything you want, then put a price tag on it, right? If you want to eat healthy, that monthly basis is going to be this price, right? So that we're not complaining every time we buy an organic vegetable. Like, if that's what you want, then that's what you want, and it costs this much. Period, And maybe you're more resourceful and you create a garden. So money is a symbol of what it is we're giving and what it is we're receiving. That's all it is. So if money doesn't always have to be the tool to get and receive what you want, but when we start to understand what it really means, then we can actually start to manifest it here and anchor it here on earth. So that's it. Book the link or DM me, and I will see you next week. Let me know your biggest takeaways, if anything resonated with you, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions. And make sure to look at the comments when I get off. All right, I'll see you next week, and DM me if you're ready for that breakthrough yoga coaching call and change the directory of your life. Bye, everybody.